In a world where nature turns deadly, one rider dares to challenge the storm. This is Storm Rider, a high-stakes battle of survival, speed, and courage. Welcome to Starz Recapped. Let's dive into the full story. 3 centuries ago, a massive flood wiped out most of civilization, leaving behind only scattered islands floating in a vast, endless ocean. Ever since, the skies have been consumed by relentless electrical storms, stretching across the horizon and hiding what remains of the old world beneath the waves. From the remnants above water, a powerful fortress city known as Argos was established. It is controlled by a mysterious, seemingly ageless ruling group called the Founders, led by Lord Tarsis and his fierce enforcer, the Baroness. To the desperate island survivors, Argos appears to be the last beacon of safety, but hope comes at a cost. The Founders exploit the struggle of the islanders by organizing a dangerous annual race across the deadly seas. Skilled pilots from each island, known as Storm Riders, compete in this high-risk challenge, where victory means securing a place in Argos for their entire community. But losing the race comes with a brutal price. An island's supplies are taken away, and its people are left to drift helplessly across the open sea. On Fig Island, a curious boy named Kai stares at an old wanted poster featuring a famous storm rider known as Hammerhead, declared a criminal by the Founders. He was said to have challenged the forbidden storms, chasing whatever secrets lay beyond the horizon before vanishing without a trace. The story sparks Kai's imagination as he wonders what truly became of him. At the same time, flashy broadcasts from Argos spread across the islands, promoting the annual race and calling for new challengers. They promise opportunity, but carry an unspoken threat for those who refuse. Later, while working alongside their families, Kai spends time with his close friend Lena. She shares worn-out images of Hammerhead and retells his story, how he survived a lightning strike, dominated the races, and earned safety in Argos for countless islanders. Yet, at the height of his legend, he chose to leave it all behind, steering straight into the raging storm and disappearing forever. Later, branded a traitor. As they look on in awe, Lena quietly dreams that one day they might find the same courage, win the race for their people, and maybe even uncover what lies beyond the endless storm. Driven by the legend and the dream of discovering something beyond the endless storm, Lena's father secretly signs up for the race, using it as a cover for his own hidden mission. After preparing his vessel, he says goodbye and sets off alongside other skilled riders from distant islands. As the competition kicks off, boats clash across the raging waters. Engines roar, waves crash, and riders fight for position in a chaotic battle for survival. From the towers of Argos, a lively commentator narrates every moment for the elite, turning the deadly race into spectacle. Some riders even harness lightning strikes, gaining dangerous bursts of speed as destruction unfolds all around them. But suddenly, everything changes. One rider, Eric, breaks formation and steers directly toward the forbidden storm. The commentator panics. This isn't part of the race. It's rebellion. Back on Fig Island, Lena listens anxiously to the broadcast with Kai and his father, Rohan. Fear fills the air. Everyone knows the truth. No one who enters the storm ever returns. From their towering city, the Founders watch the chaos unfold, ultimately relieved as the storm swallows the defiant rider. But for Lena, it's a devastating loss. In silence, she makes a promise to herself. One day, she will rise and make them answer for this. In the aftermath, punishment is swift. Fig Island is banned from participating in the race for the next decade, while another island is stripped of its resources, its people cast adrift into the merciless ocean, left to face a grim and certain fate. A few days later at school, Kai presents a bold idea. He believes there could be lands hidden beyond the deadly storm barrier. But instead of curiosity, he's met with harsh criticism. His teacher and classmates quickly shut him down, insisting that the storm is their protection and questioning it is an insult to the Founders. Frustrated by how blindly everyone accepts this reality, Kai clings to the legend of Hammerhead, repeating every detail as proof that there's more out there. That same night, as thunder rips through the sky, Kai makes a reckless decision. Ignoring Lena's desperate attempts to stop him, he climbs a towering tree and waits beneath the raging storm. He's convinced that surviving a lightning strike, just like the legend, might be the key to crossing the storm barrier. Because in his mind, only those who endure the storm can ever hope to break through it. Elsewhere, the following day, the Baroness arrives at another island with her forces and orders a complete evacuation. The land is claimed in the name of Lord Tarsis, leaving its former inhabitants with nothing. Once the island is cleared, her soldiers begin tearing it apart. searching relentlessly for a mysterious substance rumored to hold the power to cheat death itself. Back on Fig Island, Kai's condition worsens. Unable to watch his grandson suffer any longer, his grandfather, Darrow, who had long refused to interfere, finally makes a difficult choice. Stepping outside, he uses a rare, forbidden remedy, applying a strange substance to the boy's eyes. Almost instantly, Kai's pain fades, but something else begins. Visions flood his mind, fragments of a legend coming to life. And within those visions, he sees him, the Storm Rider known as Hammerhead. Meanwhile, after an extensive but unsuccessful search, the Baroness returns to Argos and reports her failure. The substance they seek is nowhere to be found, and their remaining supply is dangerously limited. Faced with this crisis, the founders briefly consider a drastic plan, taking control of thousands of remaining islands and forcing a large-scale search. But the Baroness quickly shuts it down, pointing out the obvious risk. They would be vastly outnumbered. For a moment, silence fills the chamber. The reality they've been avoiding begins to surface. They may not be able to escape what's coming. One of them mutters an old saying from a forgotten time, hinting at inevitable decline. But Lord Tarsus reacts sharply, refusing to even entertain such thoughts. For him, surrender is not an option. Back on Fig Island, Kai rests at his grandfather Darrow's home, but peace doesn't last long. Strange visions keep striking him without warning, unclear, intense, and always tied to the same mysterious figure. Darrow tries to calm him, though even he can't fully explain what's happening. At the same time in Argos, Lord Tarsus receives troubling news and reacts with fury. He orders his agents to spread out across every nearby island. Determined to track down a target he refuses to lose. Days later, Kai returns home with his father, Rohan, only to hear Darrow speak in a worrying tone. He claims something is coming, that a powerful force is already on its way. As rumors spread about the founders searching more aggressively than ever, Kai follows Lena to a hidden location where the wreckage of a legendary rider's boat was once discovered. Curious, he looks beneath the water and notices movement. Divers searching the area. Realizing the danger, the two try to escape, but it's too late. They're caught and taken to the Baroness. Instead of punishing them, she questions them calmly. Then, unexpectedly, she offers to take them back home. Along the way, she speaks of Argos as a place of comfort and safety, hinting that the storm barrier may not protect them forever. Meanwhile, back in Argos, Lord Tarsus grows suspicious of the Baroness after her unusual remarks. Quietly, he orders his men to watch her every move. Unaware she's being followed, the Baroness ensures that children return safely, showing a side of her that doesn't quite match her reputation. Elsewhere inside the city, one of Tarsus's technicians attempts to recreate an ancient device. The experiment fails. Terrified of the consequences, he begs for forgiveness, but none is given. As punishment, he is forced to face a fatal end, serving as a harsh reminder of the founders' ruthless rule. Back on Fig Island, Darrow uncovers a hidden compartment in his wall and retrieves an ancient object he has guarded for years. Realizing its importance, he decides it's finally time to pass it on. He speaks quietly, recalling a vision of a rider, one that changed everything. A decade passes. Now grown, Kai and Lena share a close bond, dreaming of a life beyond the endless storm. With their island's ban finally lifted, they begin intense training, determined to enter the race and secure a future for their people. But Kai is troubled. The visions haven't stopped. In fact, they've grown stronger. One day, overwhelmed and unable to explain what he's seeing, he brushes off Darrow's concern and walks away, desperate for answers. Then the truth hits him. In those visions, Lena doesn't survive the storm. The realization shakes him to his core, filling him with fear of losing the one person he cares about most. The following day, the Baroness arrives on the island, keeping a promise she made years ago. She offers to sponsor both Kai and Lena for the upcoming race, giving them a rare chance to compete. But Kai hesitates. The weight of his visions holds him back, while Lena stands ready to move forward. The choice in front of him isn't just about the race. It's about facing fate itself. After months of intense training, the long-awaited day finally arrives. Before the race begins, a veteran islander named Lero briefs the participants, warning them about the brutal reality ahead. The goal isn't victory alone, it's survival. Beyond a certain point, no one comes back. As the engines roar to life, the people of Fig Island watch anxiously, including Darrow and Rohan, hoping their chosen riders will make it through alive. The race quickly turns chaotic. Lightning tears through the sky, striking vessels and destroying them in seconds. Boats collide, waves crash violently, and danger comes from every direction. Amid the chaos, Lena's craft is suddenly hit by another rider from Argos. She's thrown off balance, loses consciousness, and falls into the sea. Back on the course, Kai freezes in fear. The nightmare he saw in his visions seems to be unfolding in real time. Without thinking, he abandons the race and dives into the water, desperately searching for her. Haunted by flashes of what he believes is her fate, he looks everywhere, but finds nothing. Eventually, he's pulled from the water and taken to Argos as a prisoner. Inside the towering city, Kai is left broken, overwhelmed by grief and guilt, convinced he failed the one person who mattered most to him. Later, he's brought before the Baroness. The moment he sees her, anger takes over. He swears he won't let them control his people. But instead of reacting harshly, she speaks with unexpected calm. She reveals a truth far bigger than the race itself. Long ago, after the Great Flood, a group of explorers known as Titan discovered a chain of islands whose people believed they were saved by a divine force, Gaia. What they possessed was no myth. It was something real, a substance capable of extending life beyond natural limits. Consumed by the idea of immortality, the explorers transformed into the founders. They built Argos, secretly storing this rare resource to sustain themselves. Over time, they used advanced technology to create the endless storms, keeping the rest of the world trapped and under control. The races weren't just competitions, they were a cover, a way to access islands and continue their search for more of the substance. But not all of them agreed. One of their own, known among the founders as Psychus, and to the islanders as Hammerhead, turned against them. Unable to stop their actions, he chose exile, disappearing into the storm and becoming a legend. As the truth settles in, the Baroness tells Kai something that changes everything. His grandfather knew about all of this, and everything he did was to protect him. Noticing Kai's shock and uncertainty, the Baroness urges him to return home and leave the past behind, hinting that his path lies ahead, not behind him. When Kai finally reaches Fig Island, his emotions spill over. He confronts his grandfather, Darrow, accusing him of hiding the truth. Darrow insists everything he did was to keep him safe from the founders and the dangerous reality they control. Still grieving Lena's loss, Kai follows his island's tradition and plants a tree in her memory, a quiet symbol of love and farewell. Searching for answers, he later speaks with his father, Rohan, trying to make sense of Darrow's old stories. Rohan reveals something unexpected, that the storm may not just be a barrier, but a passage. At its core lies a powerful phenomenon the islanders call the dancing bolt, something Darrow once trained him to face. Eventually, Kai returns to Darrow calmer now and asks about a word he once mentioned, Amorati. Darrow explains that breaking through the storm isn't just about courage. It requires the right tools and a deeper understanding of who Kai truly is. A few days later, Kai takes the tree planted in Lena's memory and travels to Argos, waiting for the next stage of the race. As he moves through the vast compound, he unexpectedly comes face to face with the Argos pilot responsible for Lena's death. The encounter is tense, but the pilot shows no remorse, dismissing everything with cold indifference. Soon after, a nurse named Myra is assigned to treat Kai's injuries. While tending to him, she casually asks about his background and life on Fig Island, quietly gathering information. Later, she reports her observations to Tarsus, noting that Kai speaks in a way that feels unusual and difficult to interpret. At the same time, Kai begins to realize something. This might be his only opportunity to bring change to a system built on control and suffering. Determined, he approaches Lero and quietly works out a plan for what comes next. The final round of the race begins. Back on Fig Island, his family listens in silence, holding onto every moment with hope and fear. Against all expectations, Kai pushes through and wins the final round, securing entry for his island just as he always dreamed. But to everyone's shock, he doesn't stop there. Instead of celebrating or stepping down, Kai continues forward, setting his course for something far beyond what anyone anticipated. Seeing the outcome, a furious Tarsus confronts the Baroness, demanding answers. In his rage, he declares that his search teams will soon reach Fig Island and uncover the truth he has been chasing for years, the source of the substance that grants the taste of immortality. As Tarsus prepares a full-scale assault on Fig Island, Kai moves forward with the plan he carefully designed with Lero. Using the ancient compass embedded in the key, he slips through the defenses and reaches the shoreline unnoticed. From there, he infiltrates Argos. But as he moves through the towering corridors, he is shocked to find bodies scattered across the ground. Silent signs that something has already gone terribly wrong inside the city. Moments later, Kai comes face to face with the Baroness. In a stunning revelation, she tells him the truth. Darrow is not just his grandfather. He is the legendary figure known as Psychus, the same rider the islanders call Hammerhead. Before Kai can process this, she adds something even more disturbing. She too has experienced visions. Visions of a rider entering the storm. Kai is left stunned as everything he believed begins to collapse. The stories, the legends, the warnings, all of it flashes through his mind in fragments, forcing him to question what is real and what was always hidden from him. Meanwhile, far away, Tarsus sends for the Baroness. But when she arrives, she is horrified to discover that he has already eliminated the remaining members of the Founders. Unshaken by her reaction, Tarsus justifies his actions, claiming that Gaia destroyed his former world and reshaped him into what he has become. To him, survival means continuing to consume the power they discovered, no matter the cost. As he speaks of fate and destiny, his attention shifts to the horizon, where he notices a fleet approaching Fig Island under Kai's lead. His calm breaks into fury. On the opposite side, ships surround Fig Island under his command. Explosives rain down onto the land, turning the skies violent. But on the island's hills, Darrow stands unmoved, watching the destruction unfold, as if he has long accepted what is coming. Across the battlefield, hope and chaos collide as everyone watches with tense anticipation. Kai, Rohan, and their team maneuver their vessels through explosions and collapsing defenses, narrowly avoiding destruction at every turn. Remembering Darrow's teachings, Kai begins to read the storm itself, using its shifting energy as a path rather than an obstacle. But in a sudden moment, everything changes. Silence. Kai vanishes into the storm. On the far side of the city, he emerges inside a hidden control chamber deep within Argos. There, using the ancient key, he activates a long-forgotten mechanism. In an instant, the system shuts down. The storms begin to collapse, the artificial clouds dissolving as light breaks through after centuries of darkness. For the first time in generations, the sun returns. As daylight floods the world, confusion spreads through Argos. The soldiers, once loyal to Tarsus, begin to turn against him. The system he built is falling apart. Tarsus, realizing too late what has happened, is overwhelmed by the truth. The one he underestimated was never Darrow. It was Kai. Unable to accept the collapse of his world, he chooses to end his life, falling from the towering structure into the sea below. With the reign of control finally broken, silence replaces tyranny. Yet victory does not feel complete for Kai. Even as the world begins to heal, he is still haunted by Lena's absence. The joy of change is shadowed by grief, and he wishes she could have seen this moment beside him. Then the Baroness speaks softly to him, revealing one final truth. Lena is waiting, not gone, but beyond the storm. Driven by hope, Kai races toward the place she mentions, a distant, radiant region known as the Shoulder of Gaia. And there, standing in a familiar red dress from his visions, Lena awaits him. After everything they endured, they are finally reunited, a promise fulfilled beyond destiny itself. And that brings us to the end of the story. If you enjoyed this recap, don't forget to like, share, and drop your thoughts in the comments below. And make sure to subscribe to Starz Recapped for more amazing movie breakdowns. See you in the next one.